Senator Brad Sherman from California for 5 minutes.
It's, of course, natural that the Congress bemoan that Karen Bass is leaving us, but she's coming to us in Los Angeles. Many of you would like to have a mayor as good as Karen Bass. There are many issues in Africa, but I'm going to devote my 5 minutes to the conflict in Ethiopia and Tigray, which is the bloodiest conflict in the world this decade. We've seen some food get in, and I hope that we also focus on the medicine getting in as well. I want to focus on Eritrea. Our embassy in Asmara has verified that Eritrean forces have been in northern Ethiopia, that they've blocked humanitarian assistance, that they've committed human rights abuses, including rape and the killing of children. There is no legitimate reason for Eritrean troops to be in any part of Ethiopia. I'm, of course, hopeful that they'll withdraw their troops, but they're not a party to the agreements that the Assistant Secretary has cited. Assistant Secretary Fee, will you support additional sanctions on Eritrea if they fail to withdraw their troops, including sanctions on President Afwerki himself and on mining in Eritrea?
Thank you, Congressman. Absolutely, we concur with your assessment of the negative role of Eritrea and Ethiopia. It's, I think, a positive development that as part of these discussions, the issue of foreign forces is part of the agreement and the withdrawal of foreign forces. But we
if
need
Eritrea does not withdraw,
yes.
You would,
Yes.
we would do those sanctions. I would point out that we could also look at UN Security Council efforts. Of course, Russia would veto because Eritrea is one of the 5 countries in the world to actually vote against the Ukraine resolution. We could include not only that, but we could look at an anti-shipping campaign not aimed at ships bringing food or medicine, but those bringing luxury goods to Asmara. For 2 years, the Ethiopian government has used hunger as a weapon. We have to have a contingency plan should the Ethiopian government fail to meet its conditions under these agreements. Assistant Secretary Fee, will you commit to not restoring AGOA and not supporting IMF, World Bank, et cetera, loans to Ethiopia until the Ethiopian government fulfills its obligations under the agreement, including humanitarian aid, protection for civilians, human rights monitoring, and a restoration of services, including the internet?
Yes, we've made clear to leaders of the Ethiopian government that full implementation of the agreement reached in Pretoria and elaborated in Nairobi is essential to restoring the partnership that we previously enjoyed.
We've got tens of thousands of Tigrayans, ethnic Tigrayans in other parts of Ethiopia that have been put in detention centers. The UN International Commission for Human Rights on Ethiopia in September of this year said that the detentions are ongoing and that reliable information indicates that torture is occurring at these facilities. Will you commit to not supporting lifting AGOA and not supporting international lending until these ethnic Tigrayans are released?
Yes, this is part of our dialogue with the Ethiopian government and with all parties who committed abuses during this terrible conflict.
And then there is the disputed area of Western Tigray. We saw ethnic cleansing there in November of 2020. The agreement calls for a constitutional resolution as to which regional government should control Western Tigray. That could very well mean a referendum. Wouldn't any such referendum have to include only those people who live there before the ethnic cleansing, rather than excluding those who have been driven from their homes and including those who moved in after November of 2020?
Congressman, I know that issue is going to be discussed by the parties, as you said, under their constitution, and I don't believe the details about how they would conduct or any referendum or address resolution of that dispute have yet been determined. So I'm not in a position to address specifically
And
a hypothetical scenario at this point.
Gentleman's time has expired.